Hello, Ken Spriggs here with a follow-up video for my commission build of my Discovery from 2001: A Space Odyssey. As I mentioned in my live stream, I'm doing a video here just to kind of show off some beauty shots and some video close-up of the ship. Streaming isn't the best video, so it doesn't get as clear of a shot as I like to get. So I'm going to go ahead and show off the ship here, and also after that, I'm going to show a little plaque that I made for my client who had asked me about it. Originally, I'd gotten plaques from Mark Fraley, as you saw in some previous builds, and he's fantastic at doing some 3D design. So initially, I was going to talk to him about possibly doing something, but I decided to go ahead and give my hand at it, or try my hand at it, and he got together with me and did some tutorials on some of the basics of designing your own 3D files. And I used a Windows program and created a plaque myself. So I'll be showing that off as well, and really happy with how that turned out. And certainly I'll look to that in the future in creating some other things. It's basically some geometric shapes and some text, so it's not really that complex, but certainly if I keep working at it, I can continue to design some of my own files and then 3D print them and use them with my models as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the finished Discovery and look at this beautiful ship. All right, and here's some video of the ship. It's a little overcast out today, but so it's a little darker. It seems to work better because then the ship doesn't wash out the colors, so you can see that that's more of a white inside there for the ship rather than being like a bluish color, which it tends to look if I have too much light on it. And the same with the cockpit, so you get the primarily white color. Try to get that to focus on me. With just a little bit of blue in the front towards the sides. So that looks pretty cool. That looks more realistic to the ship, how it looks in real life. Really cool. And there it is on the wall with the rest of it. You can see in there's the figure of Dave in his red spacesuit with his green helmet. You can see his red helmet hanging up on the hook, and the blue spacesuit over there by itself. See the air tanks in the back. There's the stationary pod. You got the maintenance corridor back there. Still looks a little yellowish on the camera. It's not quite as yellow. It's in the warm white range. You have the little how on there, and you have the color changing display on the workbench, cycling through some colors. Looking pretty cool. And that doesn't really look white. It tends to just wash out, so it's more of some brighter colors like the red, green, there's the red, blue, purple, some yellow, sorry. And you got your control back there next to the door. You can see the ladder back there. And you can make out the Athena room. There's the displays back there changing colors as well. There we go. When it's darker as well, it's more like what we see in space. We don't really see the front of the ship illuminated too much whenever the pod doors open, because you're seeing the bright light in the pod door. The ship is a little more in shadow. right. Come on. Let me put the pod in. I'll show you that in the two different spots. And there's the pod in the center, which looks really cool. That's still my favorite position. I like that. And then if you put the door on over here, that would imitate that first image that we see of the ship when we first see the pod emerging for the first time. Looking pretty sweet. Seeing it from the side. Very, very cool. All right, let me see if I can take that out and put it in the side on camera. All right. Pardon me if it's not in frame. Need to kind of get in there close. That wasn't too bad. Okay. See that from the side. Looking pretty cool. Which then leaves the front open for viewing, of course. Very cool. All right, quite beautiful. Yeah, I think this works best as far as getting some good images of the light inside, because if this is in shadow, then it's picking up, it's adjusting for the light a lot better inside than it is if that's illuminated as well, because then it wants to focus on the gray of the ship. So, and let's go up there and we can see Frank down there in the cockpit. Make out the controls that are color changing. Very cool. All right, let me show one more thing. Let me put the external pod and show how that looks. All right, and there's the pod in the front. It wasn't designed, obviously, for the picture that I have it on. This isn't going to be permanently displayed this way, of course, since it's going to be sent off to my client, Kevin. So, but if he has a darker background, you can see how the post for it blends in, so it looks like it's hovering in front. It looks pretty cool. So there's the, and I put the doors on so it would look more like it facing off with the pod bay doors closed. And then if you come around here, sorry, see the headlights lit up. Get that in focus. You can see the little red cockpit and a little bit of the controls lit up. Try to, there we go. Very cool. All right. So not too tricky. I was able to put this on with this up on here and on the display. I just had to take this off, run the wire through, plug it into the side, and then plug the two connectors together inside and then put the lid back on. So you don't have to take the entire sphere off in order to change that. And it depends on where he's going to have that displayed as well. It might be easier to get to. I have to stand up on a chair to get to it since it's up on my wall near the ceiling. It's up pretty high, so. All right, but fantastic. So there is my completed Discovery commission build. Very, very happy with it. Very happy with the detailing. And certainly with the interior. Get a few shots of the back here. And there is the back of it. See a little bit better in the daylight, the weathering I did on the engines. I think they've turned out pretty cool. They look sufficiently dirtier. It makes them stand out from the rest of the ship. And you got your propulsion unit with all the detail on it. There's the rest of the ship from a distance. Very, very cool. And here is another first here for me. This is 3D printed, but I actually designed this myself in a program called Microsoft 3D Builder. Thanks to Mark Fraley for helping me out, doing a little tutoring with me to show me how to do the basics in that program. And this is going to go with my Discovery build. So I made a Monolith, and it's pretty close to the dimensions that the Monolith is supposed to be. It's supposed to be 1 by 4 by 9. I believe that's feet, which are the square roots of the three smallest prime numbers. 1, which is 1 times 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So, and then they say in the movie, you're not sure what significance that holds, but it was. So I have the little Howe dome on the front with a little ring around it. I have these raised letterings, the 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then raised lettering Discovery XD1. Very, very cool. And then, of course, I 3D printed that in clear. I considered maybe lighting this up, but I'm thinking I'm not going to go to that trouble since it's only a standalone base or like a plaque in front of it. Yeah. I had to put a little bit of putty on this one end because I just had 2 little holes there that needed to be patched. I need to sand the back a little bit because that's where most of the supports were in the bottom. But otherwise, it's about ready to go. So I think what I'll be doing is just painting the whole thing flat black, highlighting these letters with some kind of a metallic probably, or maybe just white. White would be cool. Doing silver around the ring, and then trying to paint the Howe look. Looking at pictures, it's kind of a darker color around the edge, which then blends into like the red, and then right in the middle there's the yellow. So I'm going to try to do that and see if I can get some cool effects with that with some clear Tamiya's. Fantastic. All right, so as you can see from the previous stills, I did quite a lot of painting on my Monolith plaque. So I got a coating of satin black from Krylon over the whole thing, and I had masked off the howl dome with the ring so they didn't get painted, because I wanted them to stay translucent, because the idea is I'm going to light it from behind. So I went ahead and taped that off as well, and I painted silver around the ring. You can't see it right now because I have this masked off. And then I went ahead and put some clear, to me is over the dome, of some yellow, some red, and some smoke, and I'll show that here in a little bit. What I did in the meantime is I went ahead and got some epoxy sculpt, and I fashioned a base along the bottom that's going to look like some moon rock, moon regolith, and I put some little rocks in it from some scenic material, some little stones, and it's set up, it's hardened. So what I'm doing now is I took some silly putty and I just molded it around the edge. This works really good for things that are odd types of parts that you want to mask. And the silly putty protects it, and it molds into any kind of a shape and a curve. So I molded that first, then I put tape around it and some paper. So I'm going to go ahead now and put on some dark gray to start over the epoxy sculpt. And then once that dries, I'm going to put some lighter gray, and I'm going to do some different kind of weathering on the rocks, and maybe some weathering powders and that sort of thing, just to give it a moon rock look. Nothing spectacular. And then I'm going to get a light wired inside of it, and I'll show that to you here in a little bit and get it all lit up. And there is my finished Monolith plaque from my 2001 Space Odyssey Discovery XD1. Really, really happy with this. A little bit of errors, a little bit of flaws. I'm not going to point them out, but for my very first print, some things are going to happen, and if I were going to play with the file, I'd have to make some changes on it a little bit. But other than that, it turned out really well. I like the Monolith, how it looks. I kind of like that satin black on it better than a flat black. It just gives it a more of a better scale to it. My little rock base with the weathering on it. Underneath, I just have it taped in right now. What I have the battery up in there with the switch. I didn't try to work on getting a switch outside of it. It's just not worth the trouble. He can just pull the battery thing out, turn the switch on, and get it to go. Maybe when I get it finally wired, it's just wired in temporarily. When I shorten the wires a bit and solder it in place and everything and put it in, maybe I'll put the switch on the side. We'll see. And then the battery can just go up inside. So, all right, but looking really cool. I like how that turned out with the How Eye, and I'm glad I decided to light it after all. I think that really makes a difference on it. It would have been harder to paint that clear dome without having some light coming from behind it, unless I painted it white and then did the colors over top of it. So, all right, fantastic. So that's looking really good. My very first designed and made the actual foul and 3D printed it, painted it, and everything's 3D printed entirely. The dome, everything's all one piece other than the bottom rock, obviously, so that's pretty cool. All right, so really happy with how everything turned out, how my commission build turned out, and how the 3D printed plaque that I designed turned out as well. So everything's all completed with that. A few little things I have to finish up, and then I'll get it all packed up and shipped off to my client, who I'm sure will be very excited and very happy to get that and start displaying it. So, all right, well, let me go ahead and wrap up this video with some stills of the ship. And thank you to all my new subscribers. And stay tuned, as I mentioned in my live stream, coming up here soon, I'm going to be doing a buddy build with a fellow modeler with the ATST ship, and he's going to be working on a paper version of the model as well. So I'll be bringing out some more info, and we'll do an intro video of that when we get that started. Thanks a lot, and let's go ahead and take a look at some of the final shots of the ship.